And now, you're tuned into RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to your RBLR Rays show. I'm Ben. With me is Zach. Good morning, Zach. How's it going?
Morning. It is good. It's very rainy over here. My hair is wet because I was outside, but otherwise it's really good. We've had a game of regular season Rays baseball played, so I'm just jazzed. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was everybody's kind of said it, it's been talked about a lot, but it was a very Rays-like win. Pitching, defense were good. Offense does what they have to do. They came through in some good spots, and just really took care of business relatively easily against a not very strong Tigers team. So good stuff. I love it.
Yeah, you beat the teams you're supposed to beat, and if you do that enough, that's the recipe for success. When the Rays had their 100-win season, they did a lot of that, of beating the teams they were supposed to beat. It was something that at least I criticized them for in seasons previous to their 100-win season, was they seemed to play to the level of their competition a lot. They would play really well, like in the AL East games against the Yankees and the Red Sox when they were good, and then they would lose 4 games to the Rangers. And they've kind of gotten a lot better at that as a team. I think that comes with maturity, and keeping the same level of intensity every game you play it. Again, I think it comes with Cash improving as a manager, with his leadership, and with the general improved maturity of the team. But it's something that I really love to see. I'd love to see them sweep this opening series. I think that'd be a really good statement to start, and I expect them to do that.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I'd love to see that for sure. But overall, solid win, taking care of business here. And talking about the game, Shane McClanahan was great. Offense was great. Wander looked good. Siri looked good. Both had some home runs. All of our listeners look good because they're liking and subscribing right now to RBLR Sports on all of our social media. They're listening to this right now. They already love this show, this podcast, wherever they're listening to it from. They're on YouTube. You're clicking that little bell thingy, subscribing. So just everybody did their part, including fans, your cat there.
Yeah, my Pam is also a part of the podcast. She just wanted you guys to know to watch the Rays. She's a big fan as well. She just wanted to join. So you will not get the cats unless you're on YouTube. So this is something you're missing out on if you're listening on audio. You don't get to see my cute cat if you're not on YouTube. So that's your motivation to come to YouTube if you're currently listening on Spotify or wherever else.
Perfect. So anyways, getting back into this. Anything specific from the opening day win that you liked a lot, or didn't like, or thought was interesting?
The thing that I was the most excited about was Siri's home run, because I feel like that's something that I really wanted to see this year, is see more power from him. And to see that in the first game is, to me, that's super exciting. And I mean, just because he hit a home run in the first game doesn't mean he's going to hit 40 bombs or whatever. But to me, it's just exciting that he's starting the season off that way. That's what I want to see more from him. Because to me, he can bat 230 or whatever. It doesn't really matter to me. As long as he has an on base above 350 and he's got some power, he's a super valuable asset to the team. And that was the thing that my biggest takeaway was, if he's going to play like he played during the first game for the rest of the season, we're going to get 4 and 5 WAR production on a center field spot, which is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And we actually have a listener question about Siri. They asked over or under Siri hitting 20 home runs this season. And that's from Double Dose Larry on Reddit.
That's a good one. I think he has 20 homers in that bat. I'm going to say under for now, just because I haven't seen it yet, but I want to say over. I want him to hit the over, but I'm going to say under for now.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 95th percentile average exit velo on his barrels in baseball. So when he hits the ball hard, he really hits it harder than 95% of other guys in the league. I'm still going to say under, just because I don't think he's going to hit that much. He's not a very good hitter. I'm hoping that maybe he can be an 80 to 85 WRC plus type bat, just because the defense alone is going to make him a 3 WAR player. So right. I'll take the under. If you asked, 20 stolen bases, I'd say over for sure, but under on 20 home runs, definitely. Actually, another question, kind of going back to opening day. Wander hit that really awesome, like, deep home run to left
Mhm.
center field. That ball had some carry for sure. Like, he really
Oh
hit
yeah.
that ball hard. Do you think that kind of pop from Wander is something we can expect? Vibe Baby 17 on Twitter wants to know.
I think the answer to that is yes. I think that, we had said in previous years, we've talked about how Wander is going to get there with the power. Eventually, he needs to grow into his body a little bit more as he gets a little bit older. That power will come. I think we're starting to get into that a little bit. I think we're going to see more power this year. I think we could see 20, 30 homers this year from Wander easily. I think he has that much power in his bat on a daily basis, and I think he's going to, with a full healthy season, we're going to see some of that power manifest.
Yeah, yeah. I think we could. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be like opposite field home runs and like straightaway home runs like that. But his bat speed is incredible, and that's such an important component of hitting the ball hard, is swinging hard. So if he does that, I'm sure it would carry enough. The ball seemed a little bit of like, it looked like the happy fun 2019 baseball. A lot of big home runs, long home runs on opening day around the league, but there were also like 3 or 4 shutouts. So
Yeah.
maybe they found a happy medium with the ball. Who knows? I think we'll know a bit more in like a week once
Hmm.
the home run rates start to. They're not going to stabilize in a week, but we'll know a
Yeah.
lot more. So looking forward to that. But another kind of question here about Wander. He asked, from Avery Evans 30 on Twitter. He asked about the DH role and if it's going to be, Wander in there to get time off his feet with, given his history of quad stuff recently, or who do you think is going to be manning that DH role, or what do you think the Rays are going to do with that, I guess?
I think it's a spot in the lineup where you can put Wander if you need to get him off his feet. But like at the same time, I feel like it is beneficial to be on your feet as well. Like I feel like most hitters talk about, they don't, especially if they haven't DH, they don't like it because they like being in the flow of the game and all of that, and getting the muscles pumping instead of sitting around in the dugout watching and then they got to hit. So I mean, it'll probably happen occasionally. I don't think it'll happen that often. I think that spot is going to be more reserved for like a Harold Ramirez type. I think that because that's really his only spot on the roster. Once he leaves, once he's no longer on the team, if he's no longer on the team, we don't know of that. But if he does happen to leave, or if they move on from him, I could see a Luke Raley type, if he's still around, getting some play there. If Curtis Mead comes up and they just want to get him some big league at bats, but his defense isn't quite where they want it to be yet, he could get some time there too. Paredes will probably see a little bit of time there from time to time. But I don't think there's going to be like one, like, until, as long as Harold is on this team, he's going to spend a lot of time in that spot. But if Harold is not in that spot, it's going to be rotating. I don't think there's going to be one person who's like soaking up all the time there.
Absolutely. Yeah, those are my thoughts exactly. Like, Harold really doesn't have another position on the team. Like, he can try to play the corner outfield. He can try to play first base. It's not very good. So first base, I mean, not first base, DH is probably his best bet. And as long as he's on the roster, I think he'll get, the bulk of the time there. Against lefties, he should not, touch a bat if there's a righty pitching. Even when lefties are pitching, it hasn't been good lately. And not just lately, for a long time, actually, which, again, I've got another thing lined up here. Someone on Twitter here asked me why I hate Harold so much. So I don't hate him, but yeah, it was I forgot to write down his name here, but I'll check it out later. But basically, I understand Harold's role on the team. He is a placeholder until we can get Mead or another prospect, like, consistent playing time, so we don't like hurt their development. I'd rather have Harold Ramirez getting like 5 or 6 at bats a week, sitting on the bench, riding the bench, than like Curtis Mead doing that, because Curtis Mead still needs to develop and get playing time. So dating back to June 1st last year, so almost a full, what is this, like, we're April 1st today, so we're 10 months, 10
Yeah.
calendar months. Harold did have a 48th percentile expected weighted on base average last year. So he was basically an average hitter for the whole season. But dating back to June 1st last year, he had a 32nd percentile expected weighted on base average. So he's been significantly below average since the beginning of June of the 2022 season. Not much better against lefties, 36th percentile. He's not a real BABIP guy. He got lucky. He's fast, but not that fast. He doesn't do anything significantly well with his launch angles, exit velos, anything like that. he makes contact, sure, but like it's always weak contact and it's smashed into the ground. So he's not good. And I'm sorry, Harold, if you're listening. I don't mean to be too mean, but like there's nothing he does that's like a that makes him worthy of a roster spot other than being a placeholder and maybe like a fun clubhouse guy because he dyes his hair sometimes. So again, I'm cool with him riding the bench and getting some at bats against some lefties until Mead or someone else, even like Bruhan. If Bruhan starts to really take off, like he could come up and maybe do that too. But um, he's not that good, and people need to kind of just let it go. Like he had a good first 5 weeks of 2022, but you can't let that cloud your judgment and just assume like, yeah, he's a good contact hitter, because he's not. He doesn't do anything good anymore. So that's all I'll say about Harold. I'll stop being so mean, but I hope that was a good enough answer to your question.
Yeah, I think the way that I like to say it when you get players like this is that like nobody who's on a Major League Baseball field is bad. Like obviously
Right,
these are
of
some of the
course.
like top, 300 people in the entire world. However, when you look at the expectations that we have as a team for where we're trying to go, when you look at the people on this roster, the quality of contact, the quality of play on a defensive level, is at a certain level that we are standardizing because of where we're trying to go as a team. So when you look at a player like Harold Ramirez, the question is he adding anything in those aspects, or where he's going to assist in getting us to that next level? And the answer kind of is no, is what you're saying. Is he's not
Yeah.
really going to improve that. He was very valuable to us last year because we needed the at bats. We needed somebody who could go out there and make contact when we were losing guys. Now we don't really have that issue. We have the availability, and a lot of the guys who this year would fill in if there were injuries got that experience last year, so they're probably going to be better than they were last year. So his need on the team has decreased significantly. And so it's whenever there is one of the young guys who is ready to step into a role where they can get at bats consistently at the major league level, is probably the last time we see him. And I think will he end up somewhere else and take major league at bats somewhere else in the league this year? Probably, because there probably are teams that could use a DH who can make consistent contact and get on base. I think there's some teams like, the team we just played, the Tigers, their like team batting average was abysmal last year. They were so bad. Like they could probably use at least some infusion of at least putting the ball in play consistently. So maybe there's a team like that for Harold out there. But when we look at where the Rays are trying to go, it just doesn't seem like Harold has a spot on this roster with these expectations.
Yeah, that was a much nicer way to say that for sure. But yeah, he's kind of just the weakest link, and those
Yeah.
type of players tend to fall off the roster and get replaced by the higher ceiling fun prospects. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when it happens, I won't be upset. But thank you for your service, Harold. It was a nice 5 week run at the beginning of last season. And occasional filling in, but he hasn't been good in almost a full calendar year. So I just hope people can kind of drop that perception of him, because it's not necessarily true anymore. Yeah, but I mean, opening day, like we said, was good, and these were some good questions that kind of related to opening day there.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you wanted to go over? I know we had a sellout opening day. That was cool.
Yeah.
Maybe we sell out today. Probably. I don't think it's been announced, but I would imagine like this is the first game that like fans can go to because it's a Saturday. So
Mm-hmm.
now, like, 3 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon, like, yeah, they sold out, but it's kind of hard for like most people to get to that game. So maybe we sell out today. Who knows?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I think that this definitely be a good time to go to a baseball game. I wish I lived in Tampa because I would be there if I lived around there. But yeah, I think that the atmosphere has been really great around opening day. I think there's a lot of buzz around this team, as there should be, because of the talent we have accumulated. And it's just really fun to like. I enjoy watching opening day around the league because you get to see all of the excited fans who are ready to start the year with their team, even if they know their team is going to be bad, because there's definitely teams that are like, yeah, we know this is not going to be a good season. But you know what? It doesn't matter on opening day because there's still baseball. So, and again, when you look around the league on opening day, there are some teams that, won and lost. I did not expect to win and lose, and that's baseball. And that level of, parity around a league on a week in, week out basis is what I think makes baseball so fun to watch, regardless of how good or bad your team is on like a season level.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to the game today, so I'm excited. And I know you mentioned atmosphere. Like it seemed like a really great atmosphere on opening
Yeah.
day. And we have a question that's kind of related to that from Noah Chestnut on Twitter. He wants to know if we could come up with some kind of name for the Randy Arozarena fan section that's kind of like congregating out there in left field now. Lots of fans are sitting out there for him, like to interact with him. And at the games that I've been to, like he'll occasionally turn around, whatever, wave, like he'll give them what they want to see. So any ideas for to name a fan section out there for Randy fans?
I mean, the one that comes to my mind is Randy's Rowdies. I mean, we got the Rowdies in Tampa. It kind of his brother, I believe. I don't know if he's still playing. I don't know if he's still playing for them, but I believe he's a backup goalkeeper for the Rowdies. So like Randy's Rowdies, I think that's a no brainer.
Yeah, La Isla de Randy.
Oh, that's good.
That's a good one from our producer here. Maybe they can do like a Randy like Tifa thing, like the big they do them in soccer games, like the big paintings that the fans will hold up.
Oh
I thought
yeah.
Randy Land, kind of like a Candyland thing. I thought
Ooh,
that might be
I
good.
like Randy
Uh,
Land.
Cowboy Corner is another one.
Mm.
But my favorite one that I thought of, Boots Brigade. I think they could do something Boots related.
Mm.
The Boots
Everybody's wearing
Brigade out
boots.
there. Yeah,
Yeah,
like cowboy
I
boot
like Boots
type
Brigade.
thing, or like a cowboy boot Tifa, something like that. I don't know. I think Ralph's Mob could maybe get involved there to some extent and maybe come up
Hmm.
with
Oh
some
yeah.
cool fan type things. Maybe no smoke bombs because it's indoors, but
Maybe not that, but
yeah, I don't know. Ralph's Mob is awesome though. It makes Rowdy's game such a fun experience. So I got to
mm.
get back out to one pretty soon.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think the Boot Brigade that's my favorite one of the bunch.
I just something alliterative like that is usually pretty nice. Like
Mhm.
well, I guess that's not alliterative, but the judges' chambers in New York with Aaron Judge, like that's a good one. That's a
It's
good
very
like
cool.
fun type thing. Yeah, it's cool.
I wish it
Got
was
Aaron
something that
Judge on
is.
both my fantasy teams, so I'm happy about that.
Mm,
I mean, I hate the Yankees, but if you can take Aaron Judge in fantasy, you gotta
you
grab
have
him.
to. It's unfortunate.
So yeah. Anyways, check out at RBLR Rowdies for our rowdy stuff because we
Hmm.
I said do. That's kind of funny. We do rowdy stuff. Yeah. Back to Aaron Judge though. And kind of Aaron Judge adjacent. Who do you think's going to win AL MVP this year? After Game 1, who's your AL MVP?
I think it'll be interesting to see the conversation because Shohei is the presumptive MVP until he stops being a two-way player. I'm
Yeah.
curious to see, like, there's some talk, like, in generally in sports of, like, when do you give people multiple MVPs, like, back to back to back, or not back to back because he didn't win last year, but like in close succession. And there's some like aura around that. I mean, I think if Shohei continues to be a significantly above league average pitcher and hitter, he has to win the MVP. But if there's any slippage there, I think Jordan Alvarez is a really good. I mean, he looks so good. Like, I mean, that guy is just doing it every single day. I mean, I feel like he has a really good shot if he continues to play the way he's playing to win MVP this year.
Yeah, he's insanely good. Like there's no way around it. He makes so much contact and it's always like really good contact. Lefty, he's going to, hit most guys cuz most pitchers are righties. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, I think Shohei Ohtani is the best, maybe one of the best athletes on earth. So I mean, I would give him MVP every single year because nobody else can do what he does. I understand giving it to Judge last year, whatever. That's fine. Ohtani is more valuable. So when you think of the
Yeah.
award as most valuable player, I would give it to the most valuable player, not just the one who had a lot of home runs. So
Yeah.
home runs are valuable, but like so are strikeouts and innings pitched and
Yeah.
dominating in two positions like when nobody else can do that and nobody has ever really done it at his kind of level. So like Babe Ruth was probably throwing like 80-mile-an-hour fastballs and striking out like part-time electricians playing
Yeah.
for whatever independent team, but like Otani's like blowing like 100 miles an hour by like real actual like good players and hitting home
Mike
runs off
Trout.
of good pitchers. Like yeah. So I'd give it to Otani, but we can do some more prediction things here if we want to go that route right now. I think that might be kind of cool.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, so if we talk about MVP, I think, for Cy Young, it's a very clustered field. I think, Dylan Cease made a good case for himself on opening day as someone who's going to be in that arena. I think Shane McClanahan, I think the reason why I would say Shane McClanahan beyond just being a homer, but because I am sometimes a homer, is I think that last season was a valuable experience for him of like learning what it takes to pitch a full season at a high level. And I mean, he certainly was not, like, to say he was bad is ridiculous, but like he tailed off towards the end of the year last year.
Yeah.
We can all agree on that. And so I think that's a valuable experience for him. And I think this could be a year where he has that experience under his belt now. So I think he can maybe translate that to more consistent success. And I think we could easily see him make a Cy Young campaign. So I'm going to make my homer pick be Shane McClanahan, but it's also what I think is a very likely chance of happening because he's going to be well supported offensively. So he's going to get some, wins from that statistic. If you like that statistic, he has the swing and miss stuff. It's only going to continue to get better as he gets more experience. So I think this could be his year.
Yeah, absolutely. Like McClanahan has to be, in that conversation. Of course, he's one of the best starters. I'm putting money on Springs winning it. I'm just gonna be honest. Like I feel like that's such a good bet. Like he is so insanely good, and he's only getting better. I really like Jeffrey Springs, but I maybe like Garrett Cole. I guess like the division rebalancing stuff. Like he's gonna get to pitch against the Marlins more. He's going to get to pitch against like the AL Central more, the AL West. Like he won't have to pitch against the Rays all the time. Ji-Man Choi is, out of the division now, so maybe that helps him a little bit. He doesn't have to play against his dad all the time. So
yeah, it's true.
Yeah, probably someone like Garrett Cole, just because the voters still love the volume. Like if you pitch like close to 200 innings, you're basically like a top 3 Cy Young candidate. Like I think it should go to the best pitcher, but they like to give it to the managers, to the pitchers who have managers who have longer leashes. So
yeah,
whatever. Maybe the Yankees won't be playing for much, so they're just kind of like let him go 7 innings every game. Who knows? But yeah, or like Framber Valdez, because he's always really good and he's like actually a good volume pitcher. Yeah, I mean I hate to say it, but like Garrett Cole probably. He's going to get a ton of work this year because there's nobody else on the staff and like the bullpen's banged up. So
yeah,
I think it's going to be like a big volume thing for him. And I think he'll see some positive regression because he gave up a lot of home runs that he shouldn't have given up last year. Like I love that he gave them up, but like he was getting slapped around a little bit for no good reason. Unfortunately. So
I really
Jeffrey
wish
Springs, but then Garrett Cole next.
Yeah, I really wish that Garrett Cole was not so good. I deeply dislike him because he is very good and he plays for the team that I hate the most. But yeah, I think it almost is concerning to me that he gave up so many home runs last year because he was still pitching really well. So it makes me nervous of what if he gets that positive regression, what his year is going to look like. But it is true they're going to be putting a lot of pressure on him. I occasionally listen in on, podcasts of other teams just to kind of hear what the buzz is. There's a lot of talk about, we paid you this much money. This is your year to really show that you're worth it because we kind of need you this year. So it'll be interesting to see how he's handled the pressure okay over his career. He's not been amazing under pressure, but I think this is going to be a very important year for him as far as his legacy in New York. If we're talking about like the way he's going to be viewed long term, because the Yankees care very much about that sort of thing. So I think this year is going to be a big year for that. So I hope that I don't hope that anybody like does badly necessarily, but I hope he doesn't do as well as he possibly could do. But I think he's probably still going to perform really well. I'm just curious to see if he lives up to the expectations that they're going to have for him.
Right. No, he's a good pitcher. Like that's just he's good and he can handle that volume. So, but kind of speaking of workload, where do you think some of the Rays starters end up in terms of like innings pitched? So we've got McClanahan. I know we'll get Glasnow back eventually.
Yeah.
Springs, Rasmussen, Eflin, Fleming now I guess is up in there too. What kind of innings pitch totals do you think we're going to see for most of the starters, and who do you think has the highest innings pitch total by the end of the season? And this is a question on Twitter from at Twitter user Randy Land Season.
Randy Land. I feel like McClanahan, as long as he stays healthy, has a good chance of that, because I think that's where he's building up to as a starter over time. Like, I don't think anybody's going to be pitching 220 innings on this staff. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. I don't even know if anybody's going to pitch over 200 innings, to be honest with you, because did we have a 200 inning starter last year? I don't remember.
No, I don't think because I've had one since like Price or something.
I was going to say we haven't had one for a long time. there's an outside shot that McClanahan gets to 200 innings if he stays healthy all year, but I even don't think that's likely. I think the rest of them are going to end somewhere between 160 and 180 is going to be around the amount. I think, none of them are like super long guys. I mean, Rasmussen has pitched late into games like a little bit more than maybe Springs has. So maybe like I would say that probably like if we're ranking who's going to have the most innings, it's probably going to be like Shane, maybe Rasmussen and Eflin pretty close together, then maybe Springs, and then probably Fleming and Glasnow after that. But again, if Springs really improves this year, maybe they let him go deeper in games. So it's tough to say, but I would be very surprised if any of those people other than Shane get above 200 innings.
Yeah, I honestly don't think. I think like somewhere between 150 and 170 for like most, if not all of the starters, other than like Fleming and Glasnow because he's limited.
Yeah.
By the way, Charlie Morton pitched 194 innings in 2019.
Yeah.
That was pretty close.
I missed Charlie.
Chris Archer had 201 back in 2017. So that's the last time.
I thought Archer did that once.
But there's no need to go like 200 innings. Like we've got
Not really.
So many other guys, and only 8 major league pitchers, thank you, Eureka, went over 100 or over 200 innings pitched last year. It's an outdated thing. It's not necessary. Bullpens are good. Pitchers in the bullpen are good at pitching, so you can let them pitch and you can trust them. The Rays love to use their bullpen. I think maybe like 180 could be like a max for a Rays pitcher, and honestly, Eflin might do that just because he's the only one with like that significant history of workloads. But Rasmussen has 2 Tommy Johns in his past. I know that's his past, but it's still 2 Tommy Johns. Springs, he's entering his first full season as a starter, so I don't think he'll touch that. Maybe McClanahan, but I think Eflin has the potentially the highest innings pitch total, and maybe in like the 170 to 180 range. But it's not. It doesn't really mean much. I guess it's just a stat to look at for trends, I guess, league wide.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is you look at the way that the Rays pitching staff is constructed. You have guys in the bullpen that can go long. So even if you're in a situation where you need to get some innings, it's not like you're like going to destroy your bullpen. Like you can send, especially once we get some of our like Glasnow back healthy, you can send Flemdog or Chirinos when he comes up out for 3 innings. Like, and it's not going to be a problem. You're going to get very good production out of them probably for those 3 innings. So it's really like there's really no need. There's not like we're not like, well, man, he's got to get 7 or we're sunk. Like it's really not that way at all. And I think that that's the way the Rays have built this team is on purpose, because they also probably think that's the best way to be successful, which probably is true. Like, we talked about Archer pitched, 202 innings in 2017. I'm sure his ERA was not amazing that year, as it almost never was. As much as I love Archer, he's probably one of my favorite Rays player, but he suffered when they got later into games, and he often went long like that. But it's not necessarily good for the pitcher. It's not necessarily good for outcomes. There are some pitchers that can do it well, but those pitchers are few and far in between, and most of them are just Verlander, Max Scherzer, and they're aging out. So,
right, yeah. I mean, part of it is that like times through the order thing too. We did see Rasmussen and Springs make pretty good changes to their arsenal to allow them to be more successful third time through the order, so that might help. But it's not really about like the volume; it's about being effective. So as long as they're effective, I think that's the goal. You don't just want to get a guy to 200 innings just to say you did. Like, no. I feel like that's not really not a good idea. That's kind of all I had from like listener questions that were related to like workload and stuff. Actually, someone wanted to know about Fleming's ceiling. So we know Fleming's the 5 starter right now. He won the job out of spring training, very deservingly of that. So at Pharmacy Galore on Twitter wants to know, what do you think Fleming's ceiling is this season?
This season, I think his ceiling is staying on the team the whole year and never getting sent back down to AAA. Like, I think if he really pitches well and earns the spot to stay on the rotation as the long man out of the bullpen when Tyler comes back, that's his ceiling. And I will say that it's very much within the realm of possibility for him to do that. And I would like to see it, because I think he gets, I don't know what it is. He has some of the worst luck, like unbatted ball luck. And I don't know if it's something he's doing with his pitches that is resulting in having bad luck. Or if it's just just genuine bad luck, but it seems like he always like gives up soft contact to the worst locations. And I don't think that's any way to control that. But it's just, I would love to see some regression on that and to see him get some of the, recognition he deserves for being a good pitcher and getting good outcomes, because he does that a lot. But I don't think I don't think there's any world in which he's a consistent starter on the team, but there is a world in which he doesn't ever get sent back down if he really pitches well.
Yeah, I was kind of in the same camp there. Like, I think, at most he's a number 3 starter. But yeah, I think like a good, like, realistic ceiling for him is sticking on the roster the full year. I don't think that's going to happen just because they want to get Yanni back up. They want to get Patino up. Bradley is going to pitch in the majors at some point this year, and he looked really good in Durham last night. I know the results weren't great, but like his stuff was phenomenal. So we have minor league StatCast data for every AAA park now, which is really cool. So check that out on Savant. But yeah, basically, like, it's going to be kind of a revolving door at the back end of the rotation with the, Glass now will come back too, obviously. So
yeah,
injuries. I know Shane Boz won't be back this year, but he'll be back eventually. So
yeah,
that's for next year. So hopefully he stays on the roster. I think he's really cool, and I like his curveball changes and the things that he's done, the adjustments he's made. I think that's going to help him with his bad luck, because part of that was bad luck, but also you can't throw like your sinker 70% of the time and expect to get good results. Like, he was getting the ground balls, but like some of those ground balls, like the hitters were just taking what they were given and making the best contact they could. So,
and I think that I think his ceiling on the Rays is different than his ceiling as a player. I think you put it good. Well, I agree that he could, his ceiling is probably a number 3 starter on a team somewhere. It's probably never going to be on the Rays, but like, again, like if, we've been asked many times, like, what's the, will we see a trade from our starting pitcher depth? Well, if Fleming plays really well and plays himself, almost off the team because he's playing well enough that we won't really have a spot for him, he could get traded, because I think there's some definitely value for him wherever he's going to go, whether it's with the Rays or someone else. So that's possible too. Because I do think he did, like, when he's at the height of his powers and really pitching well, he can go out there for 5 and give you 5 of the best innings you're going to get. So I think he definitely has value, especially on another team. Like, we feel like we keep saying this, or I keep saying it at least, but like the standards of this team are pretty high. Like, 3 starters on this team are 1s and 2s on others. And like, that's consistent across when you go throughout the pitching staff. So, I think that, again, like, he could probably have a bigger role on a different team, but on this team, he has a very valuable role. It's just more limited than it would be on, say, a team with less pitching depth.
Right. Yeah. I think, he probably has more value to a team that doesn't have this kind of depth. So I don't think we'll trade away from that pitching depth anytime soon, but maybe in the off season. They have started trading some minor league depth, like Grant Witherspoon traded away for cash. Dylan Paulson traded away for cash. Like, these are guys who, I think Witherspoon was already Rule 5 eligible, but he was going to be Rule 5 eligible again this year, and same with Paulson. So like, they're already starting their Rule 5 crunch, which is kind of crazy. I think we're going to see a lot more like small moves like that as the year goes on. So that's always interesting. But yeah, I don't think like the major league ready pitchers are going to get shipped off just yet. That seems like more of a November, December type thing. And then obviously there's still like, a lot of fringe major league talent with the bats that could get traded. But I think they're just going to kind of settle in right now and let's see who's performing, who's ready to move up, who's ready to get sent down, I guess. I mean, some nice aggressive assignments for Kyle Manzardo, Levis Basabe. They're both starting in AAA, which was kind of crazy. I just assumed at least like Basabe would start in AA just because of the middle infield depth, and Greg Jones is kind of ahead of him, but Greg Jones is likely going to be in Montgomery, which is interesting. So Basabe kind of jumped him there. Fun stuff happening at the fringes of the roster and at the minor league level. But I think we were talking about awards and predictions before this, though. We're kind of going.
I think we were talking about awards and predictions. Rookie of the year. I don't think that there's not any Rays that are going to be up for that, because I don't think any of them.
Maybe
are
Randy. Can he get another year of eligibility?
Is he still eligible? Just like
he's been eligible since like 2018. He's
like whatever that guy's name, Timmy for Gonzaga, who just keeps coming back every year.
Yeah,
just like, is he ever going to
like a 12th year senior?
Yeah. I mean, if Mead were to come up at some point earlier in the year, maybe he has a shot at. But I think Gunnar Henderson is the runaway favorite
Yeah.
for rookie of the year, and probably rightly so. I mean, all of his statistics and his peripherals look exactly as they've been advertised. So, and I believe he's on there. Is he on the open day roster? I can't remember, or if he's.
I'm pretty sure.
I
I'm
think so.
pretty sure.
He's gonna get play this year. The Orioles seem to be leaning towards the let the kids play mantra, which is what I was hoping they would do, because I think it's gonna be the most entertaining brand of baseball that they can play. So I think they're gonna be entertaining. I think Gunnar Henderson's gonna be entertaining. He's probably gonna win Rookie of the Year, unless he just plays really bad, because he got so much hype around him. It's gonna probably will last throughout the season. But I bet he's probably a shoe in for that award.
Yeah, he's basically like Curtis Mead, but with a ground ball problem. Like that's kind of it. Like maybe the guy the Red Sox signed, like Yoshida or whatever. Like he's
That's
technically
actually
a
good.
rookie, but he's a veteran rookie. Like I think he's almost 30. So
Yeah.
like he's probably got a decent shot just because
Yeah.
young players are usually bad at things. Young people are bad at most things. So
That's true.
and even in not just baseball, like everything. So maybe like he wins it. I don't know. I do like Henderson a lot, and he's probably my favorite as well. But Yoshida is also pretty solid. So
Be very interesting to see how he performs. There's a couple of players. There's Yoshida. There's the pitcher for the Mets who came over this year. It'll be interesting to see how they perform. I'm always intrigued to see guys come over and seeing how they perform at the major league level. I'm excited for whenever that pitcher who was pitching for Japan in the final comes over, because he looks insane. I'm excited to see whenever he shows up over here. But I think I rooted really hard for Yoshi to perform well when he was with us. I was hoping that it would work, and it never did. Although he's playing for somebody. I think he's still like kicking around in the league somewhere. But I hope maybe he gets another shot to really perform well at some point. But I'm excited to see those guys perform. So that would be exciting to me if he really performs well and he's the rookie of the year. That'd be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. What are those all the awards? Like I know we have like Gold Glove and Silver Slugger, but those are like we won't. That's hard to predict after the first game. Like and there's so many players that could be involved, so maybe we won't do that. Do you want to do like playoff wild card prediction, like stuff like that? Okay.
Sure. I think so. We can
Rays
start with the
World Series.
Yeah, Rays win the World Series.
That's my prediction.
Obviously. So if we can do like wild card and then go up through the divisions, I guess. So for the wild card, I mean, my prediction is probably going to be. I think it's going to be kind of very similar to what it was last year, because I don't think there's any teams that weren't in the playoffs that made enough significant moves to get them there. I think the Rangers want to be there. I just don't see it. I think it's probably going to be Yankees, Blue Jays, Mariners.
That's literally what I was gonna say. Yeah.
I just I mean, would it be fun if another team made a run and could they make a run? Sure, I would love to see the Angels in that spot. That Blue Jays or Mariners spot. If the Angels could put it together, that'd be really, really fun. But I can't, in good conscience, predict them to get there, because they've just never shown it. And it's really depressing that that's the case, because you have the two best players. It was funny, that referendum came back again during the WBC of like, how are the two best players on the same team and they have never played a postseason game ever? It's like, how is this possible? And it's because pitching. Although Pablo Sandoval looked really good during the WBC, so maybe he'll carry that over. And he looked really sharp. So maybe he'll carry that over and they'll finally get some pitching and get to the postseason. But I think it's got to be, at least for me, it's got to be Yankees, Blue Jays, Mariners, at least for now.
Yeah, I don't really see like anybody else in the West doing anything. The Central is a joke, and the Guardians are going to take advantage of that. I think the division realignment makes things a bit more interesting. I think Central teams kind of get beat up on a little bit more by the AL East, and the AL East stops beating up on themselves. But even like NL Central is like kind of weak. Like, division winners though. Like I think the Rays win the AL East here. I think Cleveland wins the Central, and then Houston easily wins the West. I mean, I wish there was more change, but like, I don't think things are going to change much, just because a lot of the other teams didn't do enough or didn't really do anything to kind of raise the level of their own teams. Maybe the Twins did enough, but I don't think so. I think it's going to be Rays in the AL East, Guardians in the Central, and then Houston out West.
My one bold prediction, I mean, I guess you could say the Rays winning the division is a bold prediction. I don't think it is. I
Yeah,
think the White
that's
Sox are
fine.
going to put it together this year. I think
Okay.
they're going to finally figure it out and make it back to the postseason. Again, I don't think any other team from the Central is going to make it. It's going to be whoever wins the division. I think the White Sox will put it together this year finally. I don't think the Twins did enough to improve enough. And I think, Tristan McKenzie for the Guardians is injured. I saw that yesterday. So if he has lingering issues and he's not, that's a big blow to them. So I think the White Sox are going to make a run this year and finally get out of this weird hole of they're always expected to be really good and they never are. I think they'll figure it out and make the postseason this year. So it'll be obviously the Astros, the White Sox, and the Rays as the division
Is
winners.
Tony La Russa still in charge of that team, or
I
who am I?
don't, I don't think so.
Am I thinking of the wrong person?
Well, he was.
Okay.
I don't remember. I feel like oh man, I don't remember. I'm gonna look that up real quick.
Pedro Griffel. Thank you, Eureka. Okay, so now that they have a manager who isn't LaRusso, like they probably
Yeah,
might be good now.
yeah, because
Or
that was
whoever was in charge, because like he didn't know, like if you're not like smart, like your team's not going to be good. Like it doesn't matter how smart or baseball savvy you used to be in the 90s. Like the game's different now, old man. Like you gotta get off the ride. So
it was
yeah,
painful to watch sometimes. I gotta say, like watching
like he
Larusa
lost the
manage those guys.
clubhouse like 4 times. Like he was just a
Yeah,
horrible
it was
people
bad.
management person. Like I mean, I'm glad because the Rays, kind of took advantage of some of those games and beat up on them a little bit. I think they had a winning record against the White Sox,
They did.
but I like when other teams are bad, so I'll take it. But whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it was painful to watch, and I think that the change in leadership there will help inform a little bit of a culture change in a good way, and I think they'll make it back to the postseason this year. I mean, because to me, like with them, if they don't start figuring it out, they're gonna fracture and like dissipate, and they're gonna have to reform that team. Because I think at some point, like they already lost Jose Abreu, that's a tough loss
Yeah,
for them. So
that
if
is
they like
huge.
this is to me, I feel like this is kind of their year to if they don't figure it out this year, it's not gonna happen. So I'm making a bold prediction. I think they may make a exciting move at the trade deadline to bolster the team. I think they'll make it.
Yeah, I mean they have money to do that, so maybe they could. Do you want to do NL predictions too, or?
Sure, yeah, we can do that as well. The NL wild card is really interesting. I probably have to start with the. I feel like I almost have to start with the division winners because the wild card is really
Yeah.
it's going to be very interesting. I think probably the Central is tough. I don't know. I might need to think about it for 2 more seconds. Do you have predictions ready? I
Yeah,
need to
I'll
think
go.
about it for 2 seconds.
For the East, I'd probably say the Braves. I mean the
Mhm.
Mets spend so much money, but I don't. That doesn't make a team good. A
Yeah,
team is good when they're good. So
yeah,
I think the Mets will be a wild card, but Braves for sure. Cardinals in the Central, I think they're a pretty strong powerhouse,
yeah.
especially offensively. And then out west, the Dodgers, and then wild card Padres for sure. I think they make it. Like I said, Mets earlier, and let's just say the Brewers. Why not? Sure. I don't know. I mean, I think the Central is like they're not strong, but they've got a couple like good teams. Like they're more top heavy, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't think the Giants will do enough to get back to the postseason. No, but nobody else really scares me in the NL. Honestly, like all the other
Yeah.
teams, they're fine. Maybe the Diamondbacks could have a surprising year as a wild card team, but they're kind of young, so I don't think so. I think they're a little too young and inexperienced.
Yeah, I have very similar predictions. I think that the Braves are definitely. I think the Braves are the best team in the NL. No spoiler alert. I think the Braves are really good, and I think they're just really good from top to bottom. I think they win
Hmm.
the East. I think the West. I think the Padres are going to win the West this year. I think the Dodgers are a little bit diminished as a franchise right now. So I think the Padres will take advantage finally and win that division. And then I think the Cardinals as well. I don't think I am kind of off Milwaukee as a team.
Yeah.
I feel like they're kind of like they kind of had their chance, and they're kind of. I feel like they're not really getting a whole lot better at this point. I feel like they're kind of fading. So for the wild card, I will stay with the Dodgers. Will make the postseason. They'll make a wild card spot. So will the Mets. I am actually going to I think I actually am going to pick the Diamondbacks to make a run. I think they've been a really fun team the last couple of years. I think they're finally associating the talent. I mean, I love Longo on that team. I think that's a great pickup for them for that veteran presence. I think they make a run and make it to the postseason. I don't think they'll do too much once they get there, but I think this will be a good thing for them as far as their organizational rebuild. Like making the playoffs this year would be really good for them as a team to kind of continue to like make upward progress as a team. So that's I'm gonna throw them a bone, give them a prediction here.
No, that's cool. I totally, yeah, I could see that for sure. I think they're pretty solid. Yeah, that's all I've got for like division predictions and stuff. And I mean, what else do we have to do here? What else is on the agenda?
So
I think we're good.
do we want to do prediction for like just a World Series prediction or a championship series prediction
Sure.
for both
Yeah.
sides? I'm gonna say for the NL Championship Series, I think it's gonna be Padres Braves. I think that they're the two best teams to me right now in the National League. I think it's gonna probably be a 7-game series that the Braves will eventually win, but I think the Padres will. I even think there's a chance that the Padres win. I think that they could win. But I just think the Braves are a little bit better organized as a team right now. And then for the AL, I think it's going to be Astros Rays. I think those are the two best teams in the American League. And I think that's there's in like last year, I don't necessarily think the two best teams from both conferences made it to the championship series, but I think that in the American League, it's the Astros are going to continue to make it to the championship series for the foreseeable future. I think this is just the Rays year with all the talent they've acquired and developed and brought together on this team. I think this is the year that they're gonna get back to the championship series, and I think they're gonna take it from the Astros in 6 games. I think it's gonna be a tough series, but we'll take the win and we'll be playing the Braves in the World Series.
Yeah, the way for an AL team to get to the World Series is going to go through Houston until somebody takes that from Houston. And that division, nobody's doing enough really. Like the Mariners are kind of close, but I don't think they're nearly close enough. So yeah, I'd say Rays and Astros in that AL Championship Series, and definitely the Braves. And I think the Dodgers are just going to keep going back. I think they don't have any like significant weakness. Like they're not as strong as they were last year, but they don't really have holes. And I know the Padres will be getting stronger as the year goes on with Tatis coming back and whatever. But I don't really trust all their pitching. And I know the Dodgers are just so experienced and so good at what they do. So I think I'm kind of hoping we get a Dodgers and Rays World Series rematch. And then the Rays winning in 4 games, not allowing any runs, scoring 500 runs in the process, and we all end the season happy.
Yes, that would be the ideal way for the season to end. I think it's going to be a Braves Rays World Series. I've predicted that a couple years now because I just think that's inevitable, because I think that I'm also slightly ulterior motivated to that because I live slightly near it. I live near enough to Atlanta that I could go to a game if they made it to the World Series together. So I'd like to see them play. But I also just think that the Braves are just, I really admire what the Braves do as an organization. Yeah. I think they're the second best run organization behind the Rays. I think that their organization is just super strong. I mean, their GM, Alex, I don't know how to say it. And
I think it's Anthopoulos.
He is. I don't know what he's doing or how he's doing it, but he is doing some black magic to get those contracts signed. But I also think that it's just they're building such a strong organization that players want to be there. Like I think those players, they want to be a part of it the same way that players want to be a part of the Rays. And so I think that they're just a super strong organization. It's going to be a fun series to watch. But I think the Rays are going to eventually, I think and maybe it's just because we're at least I'm a homer on when it comes to championship predictions, but I think that this is the year that we've kind of been waiting for as Rays fans. I think this is the year where at least by the end of the year, we'll have everybody healthy. All the players we've been talking about, when he comes up, when they come up, when they're ready, I think a lot of those players are ready. I think a lot of those guys are there. And I think this is the year where it all comes together. And when we get the first championship in Rays history, I think it's going to happen this year. I feel, there's been years where like I've picked the Rays to win. It's could have been like, well, it's just, I think, I love the Rays. I think they're going to win. But this year, like, I feel strongly like this is a team that I think has the longevity, has the depth, has the star power, even though almost every major, news organization doesn't agree. They do have the star power to perform in those big moments to get them over that hump, even against a team that has stars of their own. Like, I think this is a team that can go punch for punch, with the Ronald Acuna Juniors and the, Austin Rileys. I think we have our own players who can do that. And I think it's going to be a fun series, but it's going to eventually end with the Rays hoisting their first banner.
That would be awesome. I really hope we can see that. I think we'll see. I mean, with the way the team is lately, like how strong the core is and how they just keep, they're getting what they need on players at the margins. Like it's a recipe for success, and they're going to continue to make the postseason, and that's kind of their goal. But I know now they want more, so hopefully they're able to kind of get over that little bump and win that final game of the season, because that's the ultimate goal. So I really think this is a year that they could do it. Health is so far so good. We're one game in, but we also made it through spring almost completely unscathed.
Yeah.
So speaking of some of those injuries, Glasnow is now throwing at 75 feet playing catch. Maybe about probably more like 5 weeks away from getting back on the major league roster. Andrew Kittredge is actually playing catch at 150 feet right now. So that's pretty cool. He's still going to be back after the All-Star game, most likely. Sean Armstrong, he's starting to improve a little bit, but he's not going to, come close to playing for the major league team until at least May. April is totally out of the question. So yeah, 3 guys that are a little banged up. Boz, I know, is also banged up, but he's not coming back this year, so don't count on it. Colby White, we haven't gotten an update on him in a while, but based on his schedule from the last time he was on the Solons podcast, he should be close to throwing bullpens at least some point this month, maybe early May. So he's not too far away from a rehab assignment, but it looks like Glasnow is honestly maybe the closest one returning, maybe Armstrong if things suddenly kind of turn around for him. So not too bad. I mean, we just got to keep everybody else healthy as the year goes on. And thankfully we've got depth, especially in the minor leagues. So yeah, things are looking good right now.
It's an exciting time to be a Rays fan. I think that's my big takeaway from the first, opening day, and as we're getting started in season. This is an exciting time to be a Rays fan. There's a lot to be excited about. There's a lot of players to be excited to follow, and there's a lot of, I think, success that we're going to be able to enjoy as fans. And I'm hoping that, I hope that the Bay comes out to support the team throughout the year. If I was in the Bay, I would be there a lot probably. But, I really hope that the fans continue to come out and support the team, because this is a team worth supporting. This is a team that's going to have a lot of success. And if you go to those games, you're going to witness over those great moments, and it's going to be worth it. So, if you live in the Bay, go out and support the team, because they deserve it, and they're going to reward your support with a lot of wins. So I think it's just a good time to be a Rays fan.
Yeah, and whether you live in the Bay or not, you can still support RBLR Sports by going to shop.rblrsports.com, buy a shirt, use that promo code FLAPPY, FLAPPY. You get 10% off anything and everything you order. With all of our team-inspired merchandise, we got Rays, Bucks, Lightning, Rowdies. We talked about Rowdies earlier. Maybe we can get a Rowdies Rays crossover hybrid t-shirt, kind of like what they do with their ownership. They've got some crossover there. I don't know, that anything sounds good. Just go buy a shirt and support us, and supporting us is an act of self-love. So I hope you can do that for yourself.
Love yourself. It's just, if you don't love yourself first, it's going to be hard for other people. It's just that's my life advice for today. You gotta love yourself first, and then you can learn how to receive that love from others.
Yeah, that's pretty much all we got. I know we did the t-shirt plug kind of late, but couple things here from Matt Germain on Twitter. How long does Eflin go today, and how do you think the left-handed bats do against Turnbull in the second game of the season today?
I think Eflin probably goes 6. Maybe he goes. I mean, it'd be fun to see him go 7. I'd like to see that. I think I'm really excited to see what they do with him as far as his length throughout the season, but I expect 6 to 7 from him. And I think Spencer Turnbull is still young. And as Ben, you like to say, young people are bad at things. And I think our more experienced bats are going to take advantage of that. And I think he's going to have a rough opening day start, in my opinion, because I think young pitchers tend to have rough opening day starts because it's the beginning of the season. They're getting into their groove. So I think we're going to take advantage of him early in the game today.
That would be nice. Yeah, I think Lowe and Lau both get to him today. A couple lefties that I like
Mhm.
against Turnbull. With Eflin, I really don't see him going more than 4, maybe 5 innings pitched. His last 2 spring outings, he went 4 and then 3.1 innings.
Mhm.
Pitch count wise, like the most he threw, I think, in an outing this spring was like 47. So he's probably in that like 60, maybe 75 pitch count range. So I'm hoping for 5, but I'm thinking like somewhere between 4 and 5 innings from Eflin, and then we let the bullpen kind of cook a little bit and do their thing. Maybe we get some Kevin Kelly. Maybe we see Jalen Beeks or Clevenger. Who knows? Should be a fun performance though, and I'm excited to go to the game today. So, yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah, sounds good. I'm
Just
excited to hear the report from the game as you're there. See how the atmosphere is in
I won't
person.
be doing that too much. I always like, for some reason, like I'll take like one picture and then I'll like forget my phone's even there and I'm just like at the game. Well, I mean, I'll like order like French fries or whatever on the mobile app, which honestly, MLB ballpark app, mobile ordering, phenomenal. You order it, you go pick it up when it's ready. You don't have to miss any of the game. Like so convenient.
Very
That's
nice.
one thing Manfred got right in addition to the pitch clock.
Mhm.
Good stuff. Well, I don't. He probably doesn't have anything to do with the app, but still, it's fine.
We'll let him have that level of success.
Maybe we can get like an RBLR app. Can we do that where you
Can
just
we? I don't know
download it
that.
and it automatically makes you like and subscribe to everything we do? It like makes you follow us on Spotify. Like we put a virus on your phone basically. Yep, it's in the works. But until that app is fully published and developed, you can follow and share at RBLR Sports on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Google Plus if that's still a thing. LinkedIn, sure, why not? Um, uh, Craigslist, Ask Jeeves, all the
eBay.
Bing, all the eBay, Facebook Marketplace. Just support
Mhm.
RBLR Sports on all of our platforms there. Give us 5-star reviews on Spotify, reviews on Apple Podcasts, the iHeartRadio app. I think we got every social media that's ever
I think that's it.
MySpace. Go to the
MySpace. I was gonna
RBLR
say
MySpace
MySpace.
page. Yeah. And yeah, do all that and then go to the game today. So go Rays.
Go raise up.
Buckle up, sissies. It's RBLR Sports Time.